Coach's Corner with Coach Heck and the infamous Coach Patrick King. You're stuck with me, man.
I'm stuck.
You are stuck with me. I ain't going anywhere.
There's a lot of people that are jealous of me for sitting here, and there's some people that there's a little sympathy going on at the same time.
There's more people that are sympathetic to you. I'm just saying that much right now. What did one casket say to the other, Kenny?
Oh, I know this. Is that you coughing?
You got it, man. Is that you coughing?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Just remember what Ron Hecklinski said today. And you ain't that good. The scouting report said you were pretty good. You ain't that good. Oh, man. Are you kidding me?
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Corner. It's Monday, December 9th. We've got another great show in store for you tonight, live from King's Basement, located in none of your business. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure and leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, comment in the chat. Before we get started, as always, thank you to Tony Letcher from Health Markets Insurance. If you need help with your health insurance or Medicare, call Tony at 574-307-8882 or visit tletcher.com. Also, thank you to Han Funeral Homes in Mishawaka, who provide the best in funeral services for families dealing with the loss of a loved one. Visit hanfuneralhomes.com or call 574-255-1474. And finally, last but not least, thank you to the Black Sedan Band, which is the music you are listening to right now. They do travel. So if you're looking for a great cover band, visit their website, blacksedanband.com, to book, or you can check them out on YouTube after you're done watching us. Thanks for joining us. Now here's Heck and King.
Good.
Yeah,
Are we starting? Are we on?
Scott, we're ready.
You're on. I just played the video.
Oh, we never saw it.
We're on? This is it?
Did you think about watching?
We never heard anything either. So,
No.
Hey, welcome then.
Hey,
Hello.
welcome everybody to Coach's Corner. We are in Mr. Pat King's basement. We have a little juggling around to do at Dorbin's Old Town Tap, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Our producer, the great Scott King, is with us. Kenny's on board with us tonight. We're going to have, at about 7 o'clock, we're going to have a Zoom with the Bloomington Herald-Times sports writer, Lynn Hauser, who covered Bloomington area sports for almost 30 years. He's retired, now lives in Delray, Florida. He's going to spend some time with us talking some IU football and some of the talking points and some of their history. I worked a couple of games. I worked a game last week. No, I worked 2 games last week.
You did.
And I know
right.
Pat worked a game last week. Kenny, did you work any basketball?
Yeah,
last
John
week?
and I had Crown Point Penn girls last Saturday night.
I had Mishawaka and Riley at Mishawaka. Riley's is, I mean, Alex Daniel has done a nice job of coaching, but Riley brought in Tyrese Jones, the kid from Clay.
And I think they got the freshman too that was there too.
Well, I didn't see him, but I mean Tyrese Jones in Northern Indiana is a really high-level basketball player.
Yeah, he's very good. Very good.
And moving him in with Marvin Schindler and a couple of those guys that they have, Jalen Barbero. I mean, they're a nice ball club. They have talent. They have athleticism. And then on Saturday night, I got to do Robbie Berger's Marion basketball team playing against Fort Wayne Lures. And the Fort Wayne Lures won 20 games last year. Mm-hmm. They got a couple of twins named the Truesdale twins. They averaged 17 and 16 last year. True to form, though. I mean, Robbie Berger's playing the zones, the 1-3-1, the 2-3 zones. Mm-hmm. And after 3 quarters, Robbie's winning with far less talent, 39-37.
Okay.
Fourth quarter, then, Fort Wayne just puts it to them, presses, just causes havoc, and they end up beating Marion 61-55. So it was good to see high school basketball again, man.
It is. It's like December, we're gonna get real busy. I know you've been busy with the colleges, but I saw Career Academy in New Prairie. Jimtown. I'm going to New Prairie tomorrow night for Jimtown, and is it tomorrow or Thursday? It's Thursday.
I think it's Thursday.
Thursday night. So weather permitting, we'll have that game. I know we're supposed to get some more weather up here.
No.
Uh-huh.
Is that at Jimtown?
It's at New Prairie.
It's at New Prairie, okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Oh,
we've got weather coming in Wednesday and Thursday.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit of snow and a lot of cold. I mean, it's supposed to be below 0 all day Thursday.
So what about
nice.
tomorrow? I mean, because today was a beautiful
Today
day
was
to
nice.
get stuff done.
Yeah.
What's our weather forecast tomorrow?
Haven't checked.
Gosh.
Haven't checked. I think it's going to be dry. I think Wednesday's the weather.
The weather will be probably.
Well, hey, while you were at that game, I left town Saturday.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw
And
the
you're thinking,
text you
okay,
gave
what's
me.
he doing?
No, I thought you were going down to Carolina to hang with Chad Kirk at the bar Beach Bums.
No.
I mean, we have Chad on
know.
from time to
I know
time,
we do.
and that's what I wanted to tell you. Make sure that you go down to Carolina
I gone to
Beach.
Coastal. Yeah, I'll get over there.
How far is Carolina Beach from where you were?
Quite a ways, I believe. I was nowhere near the coast. I was
Motion
really.
detected at the front door.
I know. I was at the South Carolina. Really, Charlotte's at the South Carolina border.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's that way. And anyways, I saw one of my former players, Antoine Banks. Scott, do you have that picture anywhere close that we could look at? Antoine is the new basketball coach at Johnson Smith University. It is a what is it called? HBCS school.
Yes.
Historically black
Yep.
college. Yeah.
It is in Charlotte, downtown Charlotte, and they played at an NAIA school. That's part of I think it's called Johnson Webb University, and they have those regionally all over the country, which I didn't know that much about, but had a chance to see him. This is his first year there. He's been an assistant at IUPUI the last couple of years, and this is his second gig as a head coach. So I went down there to see him because one of the things I did, and I know you've done some of that too, Heck, is really try to keep track of your former players.
Yeah.
And, and I always told them they were always welcome in the locker room. As long as we were there, they were welcome in the locker room. They were welcome at practice, this, that, and the other. So I kind of turned it around, and I talked to him during the week, and I said, well, I need to come down and see a game. And then one thing led to another. Becky was going shopping Saturday, so I said, let's check the flights.
Hey, Beck, you're going shopping. I'm going to Charlotte.
I'm
What
leaving.
the hell is going on here, man?
So I made a day trip out of it. I left here.
Boy.
I caught the 6 a.m. flight, and I was in Charlotte by 8:15, 8:30. Had breakfast, got an Uber, and went over to campus. I got there in time for their team breakfast. They had a 2:00 game, so I was there in time for the shoot around and everything like that, and the walk through, and saw a 2:00 ball game. And it was interesting because when the game was over, he said, let's go get something to eat before we get out of town, because he still lives in Atlanta. So he drives home to Atlanta anytime he can, just to be with the family.
Sure. How long of a drive is
said
Atlanta from where?
Atlanta's about 3.5 hours.
Oh, okay.
Depending on who's driving. Could be 4, depending on traffic. And he lives basically almost downtown Atlanta. So he's got a beautiful house, and just got a pool put in last year, he said. So he's got 3 kids. But anyway, saw the game. And we go downtown to get something to eat. And I started thinking, okay, why are we going downtown? It's going to be crowded down there. What did he forget? And we get down there, he turns right, and I look, and all the parking lots say parking $40, parking $30. I'm thinking, damn, that's a lot of money for parking. Then we drove about 2 more blocks and realized there's all kinds of Clemson and SMU people down there walking around. We were 3 hours away from game time.
Oh,
That's amazing.
And we were literally right by the stadium. We had to make a couple detours because some cones were out in the street, and going to park cars and everything like that. We were at ground zero, and they had a big plaza set up, kind of like they do in Indianapolis, right there at the Pan American Center there by Lucas Oil. And had a similar situation there. I had a big outdoor concert going on, and food trucks and everything for the people. And there was SMU people, Clemson people everywhere. So,
so who did Antoine's team play? That's what I'm interested in.
They played, it was called Johnson Webb University. And it's another small NAIA school.
So did they have a nice basketball arena to play in? Talk about the facilities.
The facilities, it reminded me of a high school gym here.
Uh-huh.
It would probably, if you wanted to compare it, I tried to compare it to maybe the downstairs at Logan Sport is what it was. If
It doesn't have a big cat on the floor, does it?
no, they were called.
Felix isn't on there.
No,
is it?
they were the Fighting Bulls. No, there's no
Okay.
Felix, a cat.
The Fighting Felix.
The Golden Bulls is what they were.
I always thought in Logan Sport they should have just put, the pictures of 3 refs on the floor, because when you played in Logan Sport, you were going to play 5 against 8.
And the 3 custodians that they gave.
Well, yeah, no, so maybe 5 against 11.
It might have been.
I'm just saying. I'm done. I'm done.
It might have been. Yeah, it's,
Hey, I think
cut that out.
we need to address something.
Address it.
Where's the neck brace?
Yeah, no, and
That was our next topic. That's right.
yeah, let's
Get a doctor's report.
Let's stay on task here, Scotty. You're an airplane pilot. Read page 1 and go to page 2. Let's stay on task with Coach here, and then we'll go to my neck.
Yeah, I'm just finishing up. I went to the airport.
I mean, what kind of players does Antoine
They
have?
weren't bad. D2.
Athletic
Division
kids,
two,
quick
very
athletic kids, jumpers,
quick,
blah, blah,
quick
blah.
athletic, had a couple little point guards. Supposedly has 2 of the best big men in their league. And
Really?
I wish I could tell you the name of the league. I mean, I was in and out of there so quick, didn't have a program, anything. And
It's a day trip.
it was a day trip. I mean, seriously,
You know what?
I had a blast.
I take a day trip to LaPorte. Maybe I go to Heston's in LaPorte and get a good dinner.
Or go to the outlet mall.
Come meet me at a certain establishment on Highway 20 in Quince Road for dinner. I'll meet you out there.
Pages.
Sure. Pages or 19th hole. Yeah.
Our friend here takes a day trip to Charlotte.
So I mean, I got out to the airport. I can't remember his name. I draw another blank. There's your chance for a commercial. The Winthrop girls basketball coach used to be one with Antoine also, but he just got the girls job. He was flying to New York, and we had dinner with him. So I just got in his car, went to the airport.
Wow.
Saved me an Uber. So when he parked literally right in front of the front door in short-term parking, and he knew exactly where to park because he'd made that trip before. He'd said that their team had just gotten back from Puerto Rico. They'd had a tournament in Puerto Rico during Thanksgiving.
It's amazing.
So they were interested in that. Antoine's team actually played North Carolina, and he treated the kids as the big time a little bit. They were in the Charlotte. They were there for the North Carolina game, but they couldn't get into the Dean Dome for a walkthrough. He knows one of the assistants at Duke. So they did their walkthrough in their day before practice at Duke's practice.
So wait a minute. He's fixing to take his team, play North Carolina, but North Carolina would not let him in for a walkthrough.
They had something going on. There was something going on. And the time schedule, and it was one of those that,
did he tell you how much money he got for the game?
Those early season exhibitions, yes. It half of his season's financing.
What, 1.2, 1?
No, it was like about $25,000.
Oh, jeez.
Is what they made for the exhibition game.
We could have suited some guys up from the Y here and gone there for $25,000.
Hey, he's happy. He's happy
Good
because
for him.
that took care of his budget.
So how bad did he get waxed?
I'd have to look it up. I think it was 150 something.
Oh, that ain't bad.
Yeah,
that ain't bad.
But the kids had a chance to play. I mean, think of it. He said in 2 days, I took the kids to Duke's practice facility. The next day we play in the Dean Dome in front of a good sized crowd. And that's something they had never done before.
And that's only about a 10-mile trip from Cameron to
Tobacco Road, man.
Yeah, they
Right
were in
there,
Charlotte, so it's
on Tobacco Road.
Not very far. So, anyways, that was fun. And
where was? And I apologize for interrupting, but where was his other head coaching stop at?
Kentucky State in Lexington.
He was the head coach at Kentucky State?
Yes.
Really?
About 10 years ago.
And how long was he there for?
He was there 2-3 years.
And just decided to move on?
Had a chance to, he went to IUPUI when Jason Gardner was there. And then Gardner left, went to Arizona, and I think Antoine ended up down in Atlanta at someplace A&M down there, another small HBCS school.
Hold on, this is the perfect time for me to talk about Magic.
I honestly did
trying to get my colleague, Mr. Patrick J. King.
My details are not the best right now.
With a Magic Mind, reduces your stress level. It calms you. It steadies you. It gives you the ability to focus, the ability to have clarity in your mind, and the ability to remember.
I'm trying here. Here's how important it was for me. I got myself to the airport. I found the gate I was supposed to be at out of the 5 different terminals they had there at Charlotte. and I got to my gate on time, and I actually got a first class ticket for the trip home.
Oh my God.
I got to sit in first class.
A mental performance shot.
Exactly.
For you.
So
magic mind, man.
At my age.
So what time did you fly home?
I got home. We were actually running behind. I walked in the house at 11 o'clock.
Wow.
So my beautiful wife picked me up, and at the airport, I didn't have to do any baggage claim or anything. Of course, I had security checking me out really hard because I'm walking around empty-handed, no backpack, no nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a toothbrush in my pocket.
Yeah,
Well, you're just going on a day trip.
You're just going on a day trip.
You know, they were wondering if I had.
Sometimes I go to LaPorte, I take a toothbrush.
Yeah,
because I never know if I'm going to run into anybody. I know I don't want bad breath.
I'm just thinking, you know, do I have cocaine wrapped around my belly or something like that? Am I going to drag me out on the side and search me or what?
Oh, this show has now
by some mule
record
for somebody.
Depth low.
They hit the senior citizens, but like I said, it's kind of my own birthday present to me. I went down to Charlotte for a day trip.
That's a really good deal, and to see one of your ex-players watch his team interact with it, I'm sure you had carte blanche where you went down at halftime or you went to the walkthrough, and so I think that's really, really cool. And Antoine Banks was a really good player for you at Adams, right?
Late 90s.
Yeah, no,
we won the first class sectional that year. That was the first year of class basketball, 98. He was a junior, and we won the Penn sectional that year.
That's really that's really cool to be able to do that. But hey, you know what? So we are now done with that news, Scott. So we can move on to point B instead of interrupting our famous coach here. Where are you going this weekend?
I meant well.
Are you going to Cancun this weekend?
No,
I
think we're going to beautiful downtown Alexandria to see the mother-in-law. Make sure everything's getting ready for that. Because, you know, Christmas is coming up, and then the wife's got some baby showers to have to deal with here after Christmas. So
that's
trying to
really
get some
cool.
things in order for that here coming up.
I had a doctor's appointment on Friday. I took a CAT scan early last week, and CAT scan showed that the neck, the vertebrae is healing right on schedule and looks really good. So I was able to get out of the neck brace, and getting out of the neck brace, it's allowed me to have some independence. Obviously, I can drive. Right. I cannot have to say, "Honey, can you drive me here?" And I just took you there. But I mean, why don't you have everything set when I take you? We're going to go to point A, point B, instead of coming home. And then you say, I said, stop. I'm driving now. I'm driving. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to get that movement back a little bit after being in a collar for 3 months. Obviously, I got a little hair coming down, coming out of any place, all places, because I didn't care.
We were way overdue.
Because I didn't care with a neck brace. You don't even see your hair with a neck brace on. So all of a sudden, the neck brace didn't on. I'm going, what the hell is this stuff? Where's it coming from? I'm going to get a haircut tomorrow. And
that means you're going to have to comb your hair, and you won't have to wear a hat. Are you going to shave?
I'm debating that. I don't know. I believe I will shave for the Hall of Fame banquet on March 19th.
That's in March.
But
I'm going to shave for Christmas
I'm
or anything?
Maybe not. Thinking maybe not. I don't know. I probably will. But anyway, so what turned out to be just a bad experience, September 13th, the doctors know what they're talking about, and boom, man, God is great.
We got to give him a round of applause.
Yep, I hear you.
Thank you.
So back.
Thank you, Kenny.
You actually paid attention to the doctor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We had a standing ovation down here in the man cave.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
We got to settle these people down.
Everybody here that's around hit us. That's for sure.
And then if you live in South Bend, the great college football playoff format was announced.
Yes.
Do we have that format? Do we know who's playing who?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we do.
I have it handwritten here someplace.
But the people here in South
on
Bend
the screen.
We're just obviously ecstatic to know that on the 20th of December, Friday night, you're going to have Notre Dame playing IU.
Yeah, and tickets.
It's the reversible jacket game.
Yeah,
I know you mentioned that. And you know there's a lot to that because all the Notre Dame football people that are IU basketball fans, now they're going to have to decide if they're going to be a an IU football fan for a day.
You know, and that was a problem back in the day when Notre Dame would play Indiana in basketball. There'd be people that would buy Notre Dame season tickets knowing that if IU was on the schedule and they were coming to South Bend, they would come to the Joyce Center and there'd be about half the crowd being red.
Well, I remember in the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah. Even before that.
McLeod was coaching. I remember going to a game, had McLeod on one bench and Bobby Knight on the other.
Here's the big question that I think it will have to be answered in South Bend that night. And I don't know, you're as close as a high school administrator that there is, because you do a lot of games, you have to set up things, you make contact with all these ADs. Will the high school basketball schedule be played on that Friday night? Because I'm supposed to be at Concord, Mishawaka at Concord on that Friday night.
Well, that's what I'm looking at here. Friday the 20th here. We've got is this girls or boys? This is girls.
Girls, yeah. We're not doing Penn South Bend Adams.
Yeah. The girls have Elkhart at St. Joe, Penn at Adams, Riley at New Prairie, Washington at Marion. That's the girls. The boys have here you said Northern Lakes. Yeah. Mishawaka at Concord, Northwood, Plymouth, Warsaw, Wawasee.
Yeah, I would almost. I don't know. I don't know. This is such a big deal in South Bend.
I can't imagine.
It's a big deal in the state of Indiana.
I would venture to say that those games might be moved.
Well, here at Michigan City, boys, Michigan City at Penn, Marion at Lake Central.
Yeah, so I would venture that those games might be moved, and if that is true, that is unprecedented.
Go the day before.
Probably.
When's this ever happened?
It's never happened before, and this is totally new territory.
Right.
And this is the one thing I brought up to the folks at Holy Cross when they were announcing the dates, and I asked Tyler about a month ago. It's like, okay, what's going to happen if this playoff game falls on a Saturday?
Are we going
to have to move? Because Holy Cross is a game on the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have to move that game to a Friday to accommodate. And now that we know when the schedule is,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But this was something from what I gathered that this is what ESPN wanted, that they wanted Notre Dame to be the first one on the prime time on that Friday night to kind of introduce people to the world of the college football playoff. And what better way than an Indiana team that
we play each other.
They played only the second time since 1958 that they've played.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're going to talk to Lynn Hauser, the Bloomington Herald Times sports reporter who has done that for 30 years, and we'll have some great chat and dialogue about Indiana University football through the years. But that brings up a great point, because automatically my thought process was, man, I'm tailgating, dude.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're doing. I'm gonna go see Big Johnny B. Good's tailgate on the 20th. I'm gonna go hang with some of my St. Joe boys on the 20th. No neck brace. Me and Monica, strutting out there having a blast. Now, if I got a game in Concord,
you might just have to get sick that day.
They may have to have football flu that day or something.
I bet there'll be a lot of people. But I got my hair. I was getting my hair cut Thursday down at Armando's talking to Chris, and he's going, I'm just saying,
Armando.
Just mentioned that. Hey, Friday night ball game. What are you going to do? He says, I don't usually get out of here till 6:00 on a Friday. I said, I'd be checking that thing Sunday. If they got a Friday game, I'd be going in and putting a big X on that thing about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, saying, I'll see you guys some other day.
Well, and here's another question, guys. What about the businesses that in South Bend on Friday that are going to be open? Mm-hmm. Okay, do you go? Because I can tell you, Friday night traffic coming on Eddy Street on a normal Friday is crazy.
Yes.
What's it going to be like on a Friday night at 4:00 going to South Bend? And people that are going out of town. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a nightmare.
People that just want to go home.
Yeah, it's going to be a nightmare.
You mean the city planners from 100 years ago didn't think of this?
Well, we need to check with Mayor Pete on this one. See if he can help us out on the smart streets, getting them going in a certain direction.
Yeah, but I think obviously that are we off? We off air?
No.
We're good. I think that there will be some concessions made, because I can tell you this much right now. All those school-age kids that go out to the stadium, I think that there's going to, and I don't know. I don't know how as an educator or an athletic director you would justify that, but I think that there would be some merit to moving some of those games, right?
I
To a
think
Thursday
so.
to a Thursday night.
Well, and that is at the end of the semester for the high schools. I don't think anybody has school that day. I know the South Bend schools, that's a teacher record day, and I'm guessing the same thing in Mishawaka and Penn and everywhere else. And as soon as the teachers get the grades turned in, they're probably going to say adios at lunchtime and head home, get their clothes changed, get ready to go.
Yeah, I think, but here's something too. I mean, the most northern site to where this tournament is played is in Indiana.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you play that game at 8:00 at night?
You think that'd be a day game?
Yeah, instead of maybe Texas and whoever.
Texas and Clemson.
Yeah, playing in the South where the weather's warm anyway.
Well, and this is the first ever playoff game in Division I history, and obviously with Notre Dame in it, they're going to want. Even though a lot of people think Notre Dame's irrelevant, they're going to want to showcase Notre Dame as the first one, obviously. And
that's the way it's turning out, isn't it?
Yeah, and ESPN is all excited because they finally get to do a football game from South Bend.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
I think I read this first time since forever,
1990
that NBC hasn't been it.
Yeah.
So
because the first game in the contract with Notre Dame and NBC was Notre Dame, Indiana in 1991.
Now, the word down at the barber shop, and anything that goes on at the barber shop's pretty official.
If it's coming from Armando, yes.
And
I'm sorry. Is it coming from Floyd's barbershop?
Well, this is Armando's.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty close.
This is pretty reliable.
In the Carolinas, because if you're telling me, I mean, if you went to the Carolina on Saturday just to watch a basketball game, you may have flown out to Mayberry just to get a haircut at Floyd's.
Might have been there. Floyd the barbers. I understand.
Asking.
I didn't see Opie or Goober or anybody, but they said if it would have been Alabama and Notre Dame, that would have gone to Saturday night and been the prime time game. That's the way they had it figured out. It would have been prime time Saturday night. But obviously that didn't work because Clemson made a field goal and said bye-bye Alabama.
Well, and Clemson and Clemson had played well that whole game. Jumped out to the big lead.
Yeah.
Just played really well that whole game.
And SMU scored 17 in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Yeah. Why don't you go
and then
through
gets beat?
Why don't you go through the schedule and then gets beat, but still stays in the tournament?
Yeah. And I think they did it because it was a close game because nobody had really seen SMU play yet.
Well, people they're going to bitch and moan from Alabama. Hey, at the end of the day, don't lose 3 games.
Don't lose to Oklahoma 24-3.
Yeah.
Don't lose to Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Play somebody in the non-conference.
Exactly. And I mean, if you're an Alabama diehard, how can you bitch about it anyway? The fact that you were almost going to be in with 3 losses. I mean, go ahead and go through that.
Well, I was just looking to start off while you're looking at stuff, Kenny. Like we said, Friday night's IU Notre Dame. The winner of that goes to the Sugar Bowl and plays Georgia.
Which I think would be a pretty good game right off the bat, and I believe Notre Dame could compete in that game.
Well, here's the thing: Carson Beck may be out of that game. Reports are coming out of Georgia that they said he suffered a UCL elbow injury, and according to sources around the Georgia program, is more than likely going to miss the Sugar Bowl. And if that's the case, then they're going to go with their backup quarterback. Let me pull up his name here.
Number 14. I was watching that at the airport. He played 3 quarters and did pretty darn well.
He did very well.
I was going to say, is Carson Beck being out technically a bad thing for Georgia?
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
they also better without him.
And they also lost their punter, Brett Thorson. He's out for the rest of the year, and he's got season-ending knee surgery.
Oh, boy.
So you talk about people saying that Notre Dame needs to be in a conference. Why in the world would you want to be in a conference? You gain nothing out of it, and the risk is greater than anything because now Georgia's lost their punter and their starting quarterback.
Yeah, and the championship game.
And the championship game, yeah.
And you get a bye anyway because you're not playing in a conference championship game. So
I don't know. Penn State lost their conference title game, and they get to play SMU and then potentially Boise to make it to the Final Four.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good point.
I don't know.
Well, on Saturday at noon, you got, as you just mentioned, Penn State and SMU. And the winner of that will go to the Fiesta Bowl and play Boise State, who lost a close game way back when to Oregon.
Yeah.
They probably had the best game with Oregon all season. At 4 o'clock, you've got Clemson and Texas. And Clemson played their way in. If they would have lost, they'd been out.
Right.
Well, and that's so right away
That would
you're
have been
saying
Alabama's spot.
Yeah, and right away you're saying Dabo Sweeney says, "Man, I ain't taking guys from the portal. I'm building through the high school kids." And he's in.
Yes,
and he's in.
And he's in.
And he's in.
Well, and Kenny, that's why Notre Dame should join a conference, because Clemson went 9-3, and here they are in the playoffs
because they won the tournament. Kind of like in basketball, it's one of those smaller conferences where you have to win your tournament to get in. That's kind of what this reminded me of here.
Well, and plus, like with Notre Dame, I mean, they're making gobs of money, and I don't know if you want 15 suitors coming to you and saying, we want a piece of your pie.
Yeah.
Because that's like Ohio State, all these schools that are in conferences, the teams that suck in their conferences are getting a piece of whatever they make in the playoff.
Well, and that's one of the things we can talk about later on too, is about redoing your schedule. But the winner of Clemson, Texas, goes to the Peach Bowl, and they play Arizona State, which you can have your opinions on that.
Who would have?
And Arizona State is number 12, but since they won their conference, they're in the same situation. They were picked like second to last preseason.
Right.
Yeah, and who would have thought Arizona State would have one of the 12?
Yeah, no one even mentioned Arizona State until like the last 2 weeks here of the season.
Yeah,
and then your night game is going to be Tennessee, Ohio State at 8:00 on Saturday night over in Columbus. The winner of that one goes to the Rose Bowl and plays Oregon.
And I want to get Scott's take on this game, because there have been people who have been talking on ESPN about how important it's going to be for Ohio State to set the tone early. Scott, what's your gut feeling on this? I mean, is it important for Ohio State to start strong in this game on Saturday, or a week from Saturday?
In the ideal world, yeah. But if you look at them, like they're a slow rolling team, so I don't really know. Obviously, it's easy to say that it's important to get out to a fast start, but if they don't, I still think their defense is good enough to hold Tennessee in place until the offense starts to settle in.
Yeah, my concern is if they don't get off to a good start, the fans may get a little restless. You know what I'm saying? And then the players may play a little bit more tight. That's my concern. For Ohio State.
If they're running the ball up the middle for 2 yards a gain, then the crowd's going to get restless.
Yeah.
Well, if Will Howard's airing it out and they're just like missing passes or it's just getting broken up, it's like, okay, like you did what you needed to do. Those passes will get completed later on, but like if we're running stretch into the short side of the field, like everybody in that stadium is going to be going crazy.
Yeah.
Well, especially Lou Holtz, because since it's a night game, I heard Coach Holtz was going to be at the game.
Oh, geez.
Seriously?
And no, that's
yeah, I was going to say.
Man, Ryan Ray and Lou Holtz, man, I love it.
That's funny. Just a war of worlds. But Clemson, in the rankings, the power rankings, they're number 16. But because they won their conference, they slide in here in the 12 spot and get a spot. Arizona's number 12 in the power rankings, but because they won, they're number 4.
They're 4, yeah.
So that's some of the things that they're talking. Everybody's talking about, how are we going to fix this? Because this can't happen. Why you take the 12-seeded team and you put them in the 4 slot and give them a bye. Yeah. So now, if you look at it, your best 4 teams, anybody's opinion, are your best 4 teams numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 here? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
The spots 5, and like we said, spots 5 and 6 are very much coveted because of who they're going to play. So we'll talk more about that later. Scott, why don't we take a break? When we come back, we'll get our guest on and we'll talk some more about this IU Notre Dame game.
Medicare plans can be confusing, but they don't have to be. I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I can help you compare your options because I'm appointed with many nationally recognized carriers. With my help, you can find the coverage that fits your needs and budget. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Ledger today to schedule your free consultation or visit tledger.com.
In times of loss, finding a place that offers comfort, support, and understanding is essential. At Han Funeral Home in Mishawaka, they've been helping families honor their loved ones with dignity and respect since 1976. With compassionate professionals who listen to your needs and provide personalized services, Han Funeral Home ensures that every detail is taken care of so you can focus on what truly matters. From traditional services to cremation options, Han Funeral Home is here to guide you through every step. For more information, visit hanfuneralhomes.com or call 574-255-1474. Han Funeral Home, a family serving families. Looking to hit the road with confidence, Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka has been helping drivers of all ages gain the skills they need for a lifetime of safe driving. With experienced, patient instructors, including Pat King, and flexible scheduling, Frick's makes learning to drive easy and stress-free. Whether you're a first-time driver or need a refresher, like heck, Frick's has you covered. Plus, for just $65, Frick's offers the state driving exam in-house. No need to go anywhere else. Visit fricksdrivered.com or call 574-256-0650 to get started today. Hey, we're back with more of these guys, and now we will introduce you all to Mr. Lynn Hauser, who covers Indiana football.
Oh,
Yeah, but first of all, before we get to Big Lynn, man, the Black Sedan Band out of Birmingham, Alabama, Lynn, where the drummer is the great Donnie Hecklinski.
Get a good straw.
This is great music. Are we on with Lynn now? We got Lynn?
Yeah, he's on there.
What's up, man? You got to hit the unmute button. Unmute. Can you tell him, Scott?
I think he can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Lynn? Hit your mute button. We can't hear you.
Do you guys have channel 4 or channel 6 turned down?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 is up.
Whichever one's the computer.
Yep. How's that?
We got it. We got you.
I could still.
I got them. I've got everything up. The only one's down is 5. That's the external.
Let's see. I'm trying to think.
Does he have a thing that says mute or unmute on his little?
It should be live. Oh, hey, do you have a? I'm walking through tech support. Is if you go into the settings on the page there, Lynn, there should be a thing for your microphone. I don't know if you're using your computer or external speakers or if you have headphones or anything, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear him, Scott?
No. Maybe try that.
Can you hear me now?
There you are.
There he is.
Gotcha,
Okay.
man. Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right.
So let me go back down this intro. The great Lynn Hauser. Ben, yes, hold on. There we go. A couple of ex-basketball coaches. This is Pat King to my right. Pat played at Anderson High School, was the head coach at South Bend Adams High School for a long, long time. Actually coached down in Southern Indiana in Madison. This is Kenny Peterson, one of our guys that comes in and helps with the show. He's really well versed.
Newspaper in LaPorte, right?
Yes,
For a long time. Yep.
and he should be the mayor of New Carlisle. I mean, they don't have a job called the mayor yet, but if they did, he would be it. But Lynn and I got really close when I was the head basketball coach at Edgewood High School down in Bloomington, or in Ellisville, Indiana, which is just outside of Bloomington. And Lynn used to cover the high school beat at times, and he had the Edgewood beat. So Lynn and I got really, really close for my 3 years down there. Man, how you doing? You good?
I'm well, and congratulations on your selection to the Indiana High School Basketball Hall of Fame, Ron.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. That was a lot of years, a lot of games, a lot of great coaches, a lot of great players. But for 3 years of that, I just enjoyed my time in Bloomington so much with the people that I was with. And you covering games. I think you covered every one of our games down there, didn't you?
Right. We had 3 high school reporters, and we covered each of the 3 county high schools. You'll remember Rex Kurtz covering Bloomington South, and Andy Graham covering Bloomington North, and I got to cover Edgewood as well as other teams in the area, not just Edgewood, but also Owen Valley and Eastern Green and Bloomfield. But it was a great beat and a great time to be following basketball in Southern Indiana. It was the time where Damon Bailey rose to the fore, and high school basketball was never better than it was for the 4 years Damon Bailey was there, and what it did for our entire area. It energized everything, and it was quite a time to be. And you coached against 2 or 3 of those Damon Bailey teams, didn't you, Ron?
Yeah, no, I did. I coached his sophomore through his senior year, so I coached 3 of those games. And like you said, Damon Mania was amazing down there, and all of the schools that would play Bedford on the road took advantage of the money aspect of that and would schedule games in Market Square, would schedule games at Butler, would schedule games in big venues because those venues would always be sold out.
Right.
And Bedford fans would buy season tickets to other gyms, and like Jasper and Madison and Shelbyville or whatever else was on their schedule just to watch that one game.
Yeah, no, and Pat was the head coach at Madison High School for a few years.
Remember, we played BNL. We sure did.
Yeah. So, I know our listeners are going to get to this real quickly because we're getting probably some messages, just right off the jump here, and then we'll get into the IU beat that you covered. Crazy, give me a crazy heck story, man, because back in those days I was kind of at my peak on being crazy, right?
Crazy isn't quite the word I would have chosen. Eccentric, maybe. There was a lot of adjectives we could use.
I can't imagine your post-game interviews with him back in the day. That would have been interesting.
He was Pat. He was just a quote waiting to happen, and
I get it.
But he didn't pull punches. He told it like it was. And our readers appreciated it. The Edgewood fans appreciated it. They knew when they stunk up the place, and they also knew when they overachieved. And there was a lot of that going on prior to Ron's arrival at Edgewood. They had a string of they only won one game the year before. And that very first season, they had a winning season. They lost to Bloomington South in their very first game, just got slaughtered. And J.R. Holmes, the all-time winningest coach in Indiana, we're talking 30 years ago,
right?
Said to Ron, looked down the bench and said, "Welcome to the big leagues." I don't think Heck liked that so much, and neither did his players. And they met in the sectional final that year, and Edgewood came within one possession of winning that game. So I know Ron the following year did get his revenge on JR and said something,
So my dad was always old school. My dad always said, you never run the score up. You don't do any of this stuff. And he said, you never talk to the other coach. And so the following year, he's got big Chris Lawson, the 7-foot kid. He's got a great team, and we're playing at Edgewood. And I got pretty nice little players, but they're little guys and they play hard. And, I think they're ranked number 1 in the state the following year, and we're playing them in with about 15 seconds left. We're up 10.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So I look down at the bench against the sage advice that my dad would say to me. And I say, JR, excuse me, because JR, and I love JR, man. He's a winning coach. He's a fighter. He's feisty as hell. And like most coaches, when your team's playing like shit and there's only a few seconds left, he's got his hands in his head. And I go, hey, JR. Takes his hands out and looks at me, and I go, what were you saying about the big time last year, JR? And it was I shouldn't have done it, and knowing my relationship with him, I'm pretty sure he expected it actually. But so no, those were just great days, and the connections at IU. And then you're on the IU beat, right? Yeah. I mean, you're working on the IU beat.
I wanted to ask Lynn a real quick question. Did you know Howard Sharp by chance?
I covered some games that Howard coached, but I didn't really get to know him that well. But okay, I mean, what a legend! I mean, you can just tell how well coached his teams were, just how fundamentally sound at every aspect, but didn't really have a relationship with him, no.
Well, I bring that up because Howard Sharp started his coaching career in LaPorte County. He coached at a little school in LaPorte County called Clinton Township. He was only there for 1 year before he moved on to, I think, Monon, and then went on to Terre Haute to coach down there. But in his only year at Clinton Township, they almost beat Michigan City in the sectional. They had they only were like 50 kids in the whole high school. Graduating classes were like 7, 8, whatever it was. And they had a double-digit lead on Elston, or they played them real close in the first half, and they ended up losing by 10. But yeah, he did very well. I know people who have had relation that played for Howard Sharp at Clinton Township. And
so how old are these people? Like 110 now?
No, they're. I'm talking about
man.
I'm talking like their grandsons and stuff. But Howard Sharp started his career up here in LaPorte County at Clinton Township, which is now part of South Central.
South Central, that's right.
Hey, so when you talk about the IU beat of 30 years, and you talk about IU football, talk about some of those teams that you saw at IU that were pretty Anthony Thompson led, Bill Mallory type teams. And then towards the end, when in the immortal words of 1946, Mr. Basketball from Anderson High School, Jumpin' Johnny Wilson, couldn't bust a grape. Talk about some of those IU teams that you covered.
Well, there were moments of utter hope. They'd string a few good seasons together, under Bill Mallory. Really about 7 or 8 straight really good seasons. They went to 4 bowl games in those years. The 1980-17 team beat Ohio State, Michigan in the same year.
Wow.
And vaunted into the top 10 and had a winner-take-all game to go to the Rose Bowl against Michigan State, which was loaded. Then they had Lorenzo Smith, and they got handled pretty well up there in East Lansing. That cost them a Rose Bowl, but they were close. The next year they had Anthony Thompson back, and they had a great season. They went on to win the Iron Bowl, I believe, and those were really good years. And then they just started to fade. I mean, it's awful difficult for them to recruit against Ohio State and Michigan State and Illinois and Purdue and Notre Dame, teams in your own backyard. And it's just hard to maintain there. And I think they let Bill Murray go too soon. And from there, they just, they'd have an individual year or two where they had a winning record and made a bowl game, but just no consistency at all. And then there were just terribly miserable years where you just couldn't wait for basketball to start. And let's hope that Kurt Cignetti is changing that mentality and making IU a football school as well.
Hey, Lynn, do you remember what happened at the end of that Michigan State game when it was all over, when they got beat up there 27-3?
Oh, yeah. Bill Mallory went into the Michigan State locker room and gave the Spartans a roaring send-off speech.
Yes, he
did.
did.
Beat Southern Cal and win that Rose Bowl. And those Spartan players are still talking about Bill Mallory's speech. Might have been the best locker room speech they ever heard.
I've got it right here up right now on YouTube. That's why I wanted to ask you if you remembered that or not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love Bill Mallory. I got to know him really well. He's just he was just a salt of the earth guy, Peach. I mean, we used to go to the horse track together. Him and Kit Klingelhofer and Joe Smith. During the off season, we like to go play the ponies down in Lexington and also at Louisville.
Yeah,
and Bill was right there with us. Making wagers, but we'd get him talking every once in a while about football, especially, he coached under Woody Hayes too.
Yes.
So Bill Mallory had Woody Hayes stories and, just priceless stuff once you got
This
him
would be
going.
fun.
And
Hey, Lynn, Jeff Birch never made any of those trips down to bet on the ponies with you, did he?
Oh, no, we went. I had my own trips with Jeff Birch and also Jay Brown. And, some of those were memorable.
Legendary.
Legendary until we looked at our wallets and saw how much we lost.
Hey, so why did, and I'm sure I knew at the time, but it's been a long time. Why did IU let Bill Mallory go?
They were stupid.
He was sick, wasn't he?
He had about two. He had 2 or 3 really down years in a row, and the fans are getting antsy. I mean, his offenses got really one-dimensional. Just running game only. He struck out on some big potential quarterback recruits, and so it just seemed like they never really had that quarterback that from the time Trent Green graduated. I don't think IU really had a quarterback until Antoine Randall L. came along in about 1997. By then, Mallory was gone and didn't have a chance to coach him. That was Cam Cameron. And even with Randall L., Indiana never got to a bowl game in his 4 years, which is incredible to even.
Well, which is criminal because Randall L. might have been the best athlete on any field that he ever played on.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, he was amazing. He was wonderful to watch, but they had crummy defenses all 4 of those years, and they couldn't stop anybody. So they'd lose all these high-scoring, 45 to 40 games, and they were entertaining, but it was so frustrating at the same time that you wasted the career of probably one of the top 3 IU football players ever.
Yeah, exactly. Now, and I know you know this because we've talked about this a little bit, but so talk about the last time that IU and Notre Dame played.
I was there. It was, in fact, I was just looking at a media badge from that day. It's a little like a hat pin. It's got the state of Indiana on it. It's got Notre Dame, Indiana, September 7th, 1991. And also, I mean, that was 33 years ago. That game was the first game between IU and Notre Dame in 33 years. It was also the first game of Notre Dame's contract with NBC television, which is now 33 years and running.
Interesting.
So
Wow.
it was a wildly entertaining game. Notre Dame had Rick Meyer from Goshen at quarterback. They had Big Irv Smith at tight end. They had a great team. Indiana had Vaughn Dunbar and Trent
running back, yes.
Yeah, and so it was a really high-scoring game. Notre Dame pulled away late, won 49-27, but it was really close for most of the game. The image that comes to mind, and you guys might remember this, was Irv Smith catching a pass at about the Indiana 30 and carrying 4 guys on his back the last 30 yards into the end zone. I mean, it was like they couldn't bring him down. And the crowd just kept getting louder and louder as they anticipated watching this big old horse carry these 4 guys. And finally, he makes it all the way to the end zone. I mean, it was sort of a bad statement against IU's program. I think 4 guys can't bring 1 tight end down, but it was still
we just watched it, and it's kind of reminiscent of old number 89 for the Chicago Bears, Mike Ditka, dragging in about half the team almost every Sunday. But so now, okay, that's 1991. Now, the before 1991, do you know when they played?
The last time they played?
Yeah.
Well, it was 33 years ago, so it would have been 1958, and Notre Dame won the game. Yeah, it was 1958. I saw that, but I don't remember the score.
You weren't.
I was 8
so
years
so
old
you
then.
weren't at that. I mean, you weren't at that game, were you?
No, I was 8 years old and didn't even
that's what I
know.
meant.
The only thing I knew about Notre Dame was Lindsey Nelson on Sunday morning.
Yeah, on the
with
replays.
the replay and going, we moved to further action.
Yes.
Yeah. So didn't IU win that game?
Not in 58, no.
No. What game did IU win?
1950.
1950, Lynn, and you're. Tell them about it, Kenny.
Okay. Who was the leading running back that afternoon for Indiana?
I have no idea.
Really? He was a South Bend guy. Went to South Bend, Washington. His name was Bobby Robertson. Bobby Robertson, yes, ran for 185 yards on the Irish that day. And they've got it on YouTube. Yeah. He ran an 83-yard touchdown run in the second half to seal it for Indiana. Back when they played at the old, what was that old stadium that they played at there, where they filmed Breaking Away? That's where they played that 10th Street Stadium.
It was Old Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
It was old Memorial Stadium.
How many did that seat on a good day?
About, if they put, I think for some Purdue games, I saw as much as 30,000.
That's probably what it was there at that day.
Yeah, I mean, they would on special games, they would put bleachers in the end zones, and adds a few more seats around the sidelines, and I think they could get about 30,000.
Yeah, but Bobby Robertson was a South Bend, Washington guy who ended up going to Indiana and ended up beating Notre Dame.
Well, we're watching some of the highlights of it.
That's just them running. Yeah,
they have helmets, but there's no face masks.
Yeah,
leatherheads.
Yes.
Yeah, no, exactly. So now, obviously you follow college football, even though you're not writing anymore. I mean, are you doing any stringers for anybody? I mean, are you putting any articles together?
I'm not stringing, but I still do some freelance. I jumped on the Florida Atlanta beat FAU University when the year they made it to the Final Four 2 years ago. Florida Atlantic basketball.
Okay. Yes, yeah. Dusty May, right?
Dusty May at Eastern Green.
Yes.
Kid that I covered when he played at Eastern Green. He was a point guard for Eastern Green. And I got in touch. I actually started following their team the year before and reconnected with Dusty. He remembered me. And we stayed in touch. And if I wanted tickets, all I had to do is send him a little text because they weren't selling out the arena then. And then here they are, winning 20 straight games in 2022-23 season. And so I start, I'm going to write an article. I don't know if the Bloomington people even know about this or know he's coaching this team. So I did a couple of stories on him, and one of his assistant coaches you'll know is Todd Abernathy.
Yes, Tom's
your
son.
old teammate, Ron. Tommy Abernathy. And I ran into Tommy at some of the games because he had a place on the west coast of Florida, and he'd come over to see the games, and he stood out like a sore thumb. He's 6'9", so everybody recognized. I went up and reintroduced myself. He remembered me, and he's just a down to earth guy, really nice, and so we had this connection going. So I started doing some stories for the Bloomington Herald-Times again, and you don't get paid anything for this, but it's just fun to do it and get your creative juices going and introduce a nice story to people. So that's kind of where I am right now. But, I just kind of pick and choose what I want to do.
Well, good for you. What is your take on this IU Notre Dame game coming up? What do you think?
I think it's going to be a dandy. I think this is the best team Notre Dame will have played this year. It's, at least the best defensive team. Now, at Texas A&M was really good defensively. But I think this Indiana defense, their strength is stopping the run. And I think Notre Dame, with those running backs they got, definitely is a run-first team. And also Riley Leonard, he's having another running back there. That's, it's going to be a really interesting game. I think Indiana's passing attack, if the weather's nice or decent, will be a factor. So, I mean, I could see it just being a classic. I think I'm so glad that television picked this game to launch this first 12-game playoff. And it's the only game played, the first game played on that Friday night, prime time. It's like the national championship of Indiana,
That's right.
It's just going to be a really, I just think there's just so many storylines there. I wish I was covering that game. I mean, take your pick.
So I agree 100% with you, and I'm almost to the point now where and we were talking a little bit before we got you on the air. I think that some of the high schools in South Bend that are playing high school basketball games on Friday night, I think some of those high schools will maybe cancel some of those games and reschedule some of those games because of how big that IU Notre Dame football game will be that night.
That would make sense. I mean, unless you're just content with recording the game and watching it later, but that's, I was in a high school gym the night that Christian Watford hit the shot against Kentucky.
Yes.
And, we were kind of following the game before I was up at Plainfield, and they were playing Bloomington North. And everybody was aware of the game and knew it was winding down, and they had TVs out in the lobby, and we saw it was close, but it was getting ready for tip-off. And so I had to get back in the gym, and, Tony Kale's right behind me doing the radio broadcast. You remember Tony, right?
Yes,
Ron?
I do.
He's still broadcasting the game, and Tony leans over. I'm right in front. He says, the Hoosiers are down a point with 5 seconds to go, and Kentucky shooting a 1-and-1. And I go, oh, crap. And then they're just getting ready to throw the ball up in the air for the tip. And all of a sudden, all these students come running into the gym that had been out in the lobby. And there's this buzz and everything. And all the players step back from the tip-off circle wondering what's going on. And then Tony Gale says, IU won the game somehow.
That's amazing.
Watford this and Watford that. And then all of a sudden, the whole gym explodes. It's not that they announced the score or anything, but everybody must have been tuned into their cell phones or something. And they get this dirt. So in order to avoid a situation like that, I think, Ron, that's a good suggestion. Maybe you should float that out there. Like, there should be no high school basketball on that Friday night.
Yeah, no, and I say that because I've got into the broad. I'm just like you now, man. I'm in the media, so I do like 60 games a year broadcasting, and I do have a game that night, and I'm thinking of calling in sick and going to the party at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon in the Notre Dame parking lot, the tailgating stuff. But okay, let me ask you this question now, because I know you and I don't know if you had any run-ins or if you have any great stories, but do you have anything great, Bobby Knight, that you can kind of relate to us in your time of a Bobby Knight story that you thought was really cool?
There was a time he threw me out of his office. There were times I think he wanted to throw me out of the office, heck, but
I would never do that. I would never do that.
No, you'd have had Birch do it, but Birch didn't scare me.
Yeah. So what happened? Explain that to us.
I wrote a column. This is in Knight's final year, and I've been 2 years as the lead basketball writer for the Bloomington Herald-Times. We were just in the post Bob Hamill era, Okay. So I'm the guy that's got to follow that act,
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote a column about him and Steve Alford. Steve Alford was then newly hired coach of Iowa.
Sure.
And I went to media day, and the tables in media day, they're alphabetically. So, and then all the writers hover around these tables trying to get their quotes and stuff and get their interviews. They got their mics there, and so I was next to Indiana, and neither Alford nor Knight are speaking to each other, or not even saying hello or anything. And there was a noticeable chill in the air between them. That Knight was pissed off at him for some reason. And I wrote a column saying, well, let's hope that, by the time Iowa comes to Assembly Hall, in January, they will have patched this up and everything will carry on and we'll be fine. Well, the Knight took such an exception to that column for whatever the reasons that he called my publisher, demanded that I come to his office and apologize. And the chickens, they agreed, but they said they called Bob Hamill out of retirement to come and be my chaperone in there.
Really?
And
so I go into the
peacekeeper.
cave. Yeah. They used to call it the cave, that little office with no windows in it. It's right in that dark hallway, just across from the IU locker room.
Yeah.
So I go in there. It's after practice, probably, 5, 6 o'clock at night. It's already dark outside. I go in there. I know Hamill's with me. I know I'm going to get blistered. And so I no sooner sit down, Knight comes in. He says, what do you got to say for yourself? I got 2 words out, and he launches into this string of obscenities that, was probably still hanging out there in Assembly Hall 5 days later, and just continued on for about 15 minutes. And then he
really?
Then he says, you got anything to say? and I tried to say something. He said, "Just get the hell out of here." So I pack up my things. I go out, but I don't leave right away. I'm out in that hallway, pitch dark hallway, and I know Hamill's still in there. And I assume all your audience knows who Bob Hamill is, but great writer.
Sure. Yeah,
the
great Bob Hamill.
Well, I know of Knight's habit of throwing players out and then asking them back in the office. And the fact that Hamill stood there, I still may be able to, salvage this somehow. And sure enough, about 5 minutes later, here comes Hamill. He comes out and he motions me back in. Here we go. I'm going to be okay. Well, then, so Knight picks up where he left off, and he started to just chew me out again royally. Then he gets a phone call in the middle of his tirade. And he goes, okay, it's obviously his wife, Karen, and he proceeds to disrobe and get in the shower, all the while talking at me and screaming at me. And the next thing I know, the air closed, and I'm sitting here like, is anybody else seeing this, or is it just me? And the shower curtain's closing, and he's still screaming at me. And finally, he stops. He said, "Have you had enough?" I said, "Yeah, I've had enough." And so that was it. I got out of there. I saw way more than I wanted to see. I heard way more than I wanted to hear. Oddly enough, from that time on, we had a really good relationship. He went over backwards to be almost nice to me. In fact, when he got hired out at Texas Tech a year later, the Herald Times sent me out there, and I covered that whole weekend. And he asked me to lunch the next day, one-on-one, gave me a great interview. It was the 25th anniversary of the 1976 team. And so I got an exclusive on that. And from then on, we were good, even when he went through that difficult time of his firing. By then, I was on another beat, and so I didn't have to cover all that dirty part of his firing, and kind of got through it. And to the very end there, we were still okay.
Yeah, no, that's kind of how Coach Knight has always been. If he's pissed at you, if he loses a game, if he thinks you said something or wrote something negative that he didn't agree with, he would come out and come after you. But then at the end of that, and yours went a lot longer than anybody else's, and especially the shower scene. When he gets done with that, then he's done with it and he's over it. And it's like, hey, I've been, I coached his team in one of those barnstorming summers, and I did a couple things, and he didn't like it, and he ripped me. And then the next day of practice, I'm a little intimidated, man. I just left Ball State, and I hadn't taken the Anderson job yet, so I had that summer off. And he comes in and he said, "Hey, Hack," he said, "what are you doing today at practice?" Just the nicest human being in America. But when you saw one of those sides, it was really tough. But then he always did come back around, didn't he?
Yeah. I've got one more quick story about him. A month after he was fired, I ran into him at a movie theater. Him and his wife, Karen, and my wife, Pat, and I. We were only people in the theater. It was a showing of the movie. What was it called?
It wasn't Deep Throat. It wasn't Deep Throat, was it?
No, it was Remember the Titans, a coaching story.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
We're walking out of the theater, and he says, "How you doing?" And I said, "How you doing, Coach?" "I'm doing all right. I'm going to play some golf tomorrow. We only got 3. You want to join us?" So yeah. So I got to play a round of golf with him and Scott May. And Ted Bishop. I don't know if you remember Ted Bishop, but he used to be the Linton Pro who went on to be the head of the PGA.
Wow.
For a while. And he and Knight owned a course up there in Franklin, Indiana. The Legends.
Yes.
So I got to play. I was in a cart with Scott May, which is fine with me. I get to be with, one of the greatest IU players of all time. And he's riding with Ted Bishop. And Bishop's coaching him throughout the day. And, Knight's a little bit irritated at him. But then Knight takes a look at my swing, and he starts coaching me. Like, my swing is hopeless. No, you're wasting your time, coach. I'm just out here, enjoying the camaraderie anyway. But he's nice hacking around all day long. If he hits a ball, he drops another. Nobody really cares. But then he gets up on the 18th green. He hits a nice approach on the 18th green, and he's got about an 8-foot putt for par. And we're all kind of real silent. Nobody's talking, and he putts it, and it rolls past the cup, and he just goes berserk, and he says, "If I'd have made that putt, I just broke 80." And if he, I think I might have outscored him that day, because I know I was probably 102, and he would be far behind that. But it was just so funny. He was serious when he said that.
Yeah, no.
He took a lot of mulligans.
Yeah, no, and I think those times are precious, man, and just to be able to do that and hang out with him. I've had a couple of those scenarios too at different camps when I would meet him at the airport and pick him up. But so I'm going to leave you with one story. I know you've heard this story, but I don't think Kenny and Pat have heard this story. I get offered the Edgewood job. I leave Illinois State. Bob Donovan was the head coach at Illinois State, my high school coach. And I leave after a year, and I get offered the Edgewood job. And it's in Ellettsville. What a great place to live in Bloomington, Indiana. Just a special, special place. I love the place. And the AD is a guy named John Holmes. He's probably like 75. Yeah. And they offer me the job, and I take the job. And he says he's got that Southern drawl. He says, "Ron," he says, I got two things. I got two things that I want to tell you that I want you to really, really abide by. And I said, "Mr. Holmes, whatever, tell me." Yeah. He says, I don't want you going into this one tavern in Ellettsville. And I said, "Okay." He said, "I don't want you ever using the F word at practice or in games." I said, "Mr. Holmes, you know what? 1 out of 2 ain't bad, and I will never go to the tavern in Ellettsville." And true to form, man. That's how it went. But it was a special time in my life. Stephanie was born, my little girl, and just a special time. The relationships with you, with everybody, it was a great time. And I wish you were back here in Indiana, but I know that you're having a blast in Florida, right?
It is living the dream. We live in Delray Beach, which is just almost to Fort Lauderdale. And so we are in the tropics. So yes, we don't worry about snow or any of that. Now it gets a little hot in the winter time, summertime, but that's what air conditioning's for. So yeah. It's a great place to retire.
Yeah. And your wife still likes you, right? She likes you, right?
On occasion. Yeah.
No, hey, she don't have to love you. She just still likes you, right? There you go, man. Things are great.
Right. No point. No, it's a renewable contract every year.
Yeah, there you go, man. Yeah. Hey, listen, Lynn, I can't tell you. Thank you. Kenny's got something.
I got one other question, and we kicked this around earlier before we came on to talk to you. Do you know this game coming up here a week from Friday? They've only played a couple times since 1958. Is there any reason, or do you know any backstories as to why there was really never a concerted effort to really try to get some kind of a series going, say in the 60s or the 70s at all? Do you know anything about that at all?
Well, the early part of the 60s, Indiana got hit with the death penalty.
Yes.
For recruiting.
Recruiting violations. Yes.
And so that soured Notre Dame right then. And then, of course, Notre Dame already was playing Purdue every year and Michigan State. So, and then another year's also maybe a third Big Ten team like Iowa too, or Northwestern or Wisconsin. They used to play now and then. Right. So, they retained Purdue right up until about 3-4 years ago, played them every year. Right. And then they had a lot of return games. They played Navy every year. They played Southern Cal every year. So there wasn't a whole lot of openings on their schedule. And then Indiana was not a team that really improved your resume by playing. So I think there's a combination of that. I don't think it was anything bad blood or anything, but just more Notre Dame didn't need Indiana to on its schedule. I mean, it had a pretty good year in, year out schedule, and I'm so happy that I was, I'm an IU alum, but I've always been a Notre Dame Subway alum too. I mean,
yes.
I grew up in Fort Wayne and attended St. Patrick's grade school where they played the Notre Dame Victory March every time you went to recess.
Of course.
Brainwashing started early, and then my first job in journalism or sports writing was in the Kendallville News-Sun, just north of Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
And they had seats and press passes, and during the Joe Montana years, so I got to cover that era of Notre Dame football for a little newspaper, and and still got to sit in the press box. I mean, so my ties to Notre Dame go back a long way, but I'm an IU alum, so I will be schizophrenic a week from Friday night. I'll be cheering and cussing at the same time.
This show knows exactly where Kendallville is. It's where my wife's from.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, listen, Lynn, thanks for taking a few minutes, man. You've been great. Our friendship has remained strong for a lot of years. Thanks for your kind words on the Hall of Fame. You think you can make it in town on March 19th for that?
March 19th. Well, I'll just have to see, if I win the lottery, Ron. I mean.
Yeah. No, I talked to Jeff Harrington today. He said the Edgewood boys will be there. Said the Edgewood boys will be at the banquet, and as I was talking to Harrington, it made me think that back in those days, the whole craze were these jump boxes. People thought that you could take a white kid that couldn't jump and work on these jump boxes, and then all of a sudden they're going to be able to jump. Well, we had these jump boxes that I made. I didn't put any carpeting on them. The edges were awful. And Jeff Harrington just sent me a picture of the scars on his legs from the jump boxes today.
Yeah, the edges were sharp. The edges were sharp.
Yeah, 40 years later, and he said, "Coach," he said, "I wouldn't miss the banquet, and I'm bringing these scars with me, man." So
they still tell Hecklinski stories when I see the Lance Ringler's on my board I serve on for the Monroe County Sports Hall of Fame. So we tell some Hecklinski stories every once in a while. Did you have some weird shoes you guys used to wear too? That had they were almost like had a raised arch on them or something.
Oh yeah. The jump soles. Yeah, I mean, you remember the jump soles.
Ones that didn't have heels.
Yeah. No heels.
Stretch out your Achilles.
Yeah, and anything to make those kids that aren't athletic, trying to make them athletic.
That was back early 90s
and
stuff.
It was all fallacy because it never. I mean, Harrington gained a half an inch, and the reason he gained a half an inch because he lost a pound of flesh on his shins, and he was a little bit lighter. That's the only reason. That's the reason. But those kids were great. And today they still have a great relationship with you whenever they see you, man.
Yeah, we used to play some YMCA basketball together, and of course they were delighted to block my shot all the time, but nothing personal. But
I mean, you had the ink pen. At the end of the day, you could get back at him anytime you wanted to, man. Right. You had the ink.
That's right.
Hey, listen, Lynn, thanks, man. Enjoy watching that game. And, this has been great. We've been pubbing you all day with a lot of people, tuning into this. So this has been really good. You're awesome, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Nice meeting you, Ken and Pat.
Yes.
And go Hoosiers and go Irish, I guess.
There you go, man. That is a great Lynn Hauser, who just who just had stories, was a great writer, and had that Edgewood beat for, that my whole time there, and also had that IU beat. Hey, let's take a break here. Let's come back and, maybe talk about some of this Juan Soto business.
Yeah, we got some baseball.
This MLB, maybe some college basketball that we're looking at right in front of us.
Yeah.
But Scott, why don't you take us to a break, and then we'll be right back.
When the time comes to say goodbye, you want a place that offers more than just services. You want care, understanding, and support. Han Funeral Homes in Mishawaka has been helping families honor their loved ones with respect and compassion since 1976. Their team of caring professionals takes the time to understand your needs and offer personalized solutions that reflect the life and wishes of your loved one. From traditional funeral services to cremation options, Han Funeral Homes is here to guide you through this difficult time with grace. For more information, visit hanfuneralhomes.com or call 574-255-1474.
Finding private health insurance can be stressful. What if it didn't have to be? I'm Tony Letcher, licensed insurance agent. I prefer to personally meet with my clients so I can get a better understanding of your needs and budget. I can even review your current coverage. I don't want you to be my client today. I want you to be my client forever. Call Tony Letcher today to schedule your free consultation or visit tletcher.com.
Looking to get your driver's license? Frick's Driving School in Mishawaka makes it easy with the Indiana State Driving Exam in-house for just $65. No formal driver's education is required. If you're 16 years and 270 days old, which is like 9 months, and have held an Indiana learner's permit for at least 180 days, which is like 6 months, you're eligible. Frick's provides the vehicle, just bring a ride to and from the office. The exam takes only about 20 minutes, and you can walk out with your official Indiana driver's license, which we call it an operator's license. To schedule, call 574-256-0650 or visit fricksdrivered.com. Hey, we're back. We've got more of Coach's Corner with Heck and King and Peterson. Get into whatever else we're going to talk about. Juan Soto got paid big time, so I'm sure we'll talk about that. But anyway, here they are.
Talk about Juan Soto, Scotty, and you got some info on this deal too, man. After Kenny gets done bouncing to the black sedan stuff.
Oh, great stuff.
I like that stuff.
Can we get them to come play on Friday nights during the spring here? Get them out there.
Well, we
day trip. We'll do a day trip down to.
We may do a show in Beham.
There you go.
In Beham, we get on the plane at
they
8 in the morning.
They could travel up and probably
Get
be better than the people doing live mic night over at Dorbin's.
I just never know.
Could be. But anyway, Juan Soto, man, come on. This stuff is crazy. 15 years, $765 million.
Oh yeah.
And you're literally paying for, I think he's 25, right?
Like that.
You're literally paying maybe for the first 7 or 8 years of this contract because he'll go in decline halfway through the contract. So the last 7 years, maybe he'll be an average player, still making this kind of money.
Right.
He is
now, Scott,
26.
So break that contract down like you did before we got on the show for our listeners here.
Yeah, I'll put it on the screen here. That'll make it easier rather than just me reading. But so he will be paid $305 million over the first 5 years of the contract. That includes a $75 million signing bonus and an annual salary of $46. If he does not opt out, he'll get $460 over the remaining 10. But if he does, the Mets have the ability to prevent him from hitting the open market by increasing his annual salary to $50 million over the remaining 10 years, bringing the total value of his contract to $805 million, which is funny because his average annual salary is still less than Dak Prescott.
Okay. Yeah, no, and Dak Prescott. That's a conversation for another time.
But another topic.
Yeah, but so the Yankees were in on him. The Yankees went one more year.
They tried to get him back
with $5 million less. But the comment coming out of the winter meetings now was the Mets was going to do whatever they had to do to sign him. And so Brian Cashman and the Yankees probably figured, so we throw a little more dough on there. We take a year off. The Mets are just going to beat us. And it was obvious that Juan Soto was going for the highest salary, the highest average salary.
He's going for the money.
Yep. And it came out today that he had a problem with the Yankees and their security team because his parents came to a game. They were supposed to sit in a certain area. The security team said, no, you can't sit there. We're going to move you around. He had some other family come in town for a game or two. The security wouldn't let him sit where he thought they were going to sit. So he had some issues with the security team with the Yankees. And if you're Brian Cashman, if you're Steinbrenner, if you're any of those owners, and you're saying, our security guy screwed this deal up, man. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
Come on. But
Who was the guy from the Mets that you always talk about that got the big deferred stuff?
Oh, well, I mean, Shohei Ohtani with the Dodgers got all of that contract. He was he had the highest salary in sports at $700,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're one guy from the Mets that gets his
Bobby Bonilla. Bobby Bonilla. July 4th every year is Bobby Bonilla Day.
Like $1 million something or whatever.
Yeah, he got everything deferred, and he gets $1 million
till like 2035.
Yeah, till 2035.
I'm wondering. I still wonder why more players don't do that.
Well, they were trying to, but Juan Soto got all of his in the time frame of the contract while he's still playing, whereas Shohei got his deferred, and Blake Snell got his deferred from the Dodgers too, which I think is really stupid, but whatever.
Yeah, no, the amount of money. I mean, I don't know if the Dodgers are just going to start printing money in 20 years. But they have $1 billion. They have $1 billion in deferred payments. So I can't.
Do they have to pay Bobby Bonilla inflation adjusted?
No, I don't know. But I don't think. I think it's just a flat $1.2 million check.
$1.19 million on July 1st, and it ends in 2035.
Yeah,
because who knows? Maybe all that deferred money that Shohei got will only be worth half in 20 more years when we have more inflation.
No, you're 100% right.
Juan Soto's a smart one.
Yeah, be getting some inflation, and an interest money on it or something.
Yeah, and so now the winter meetings, now that they got this massive contract out of the way, and by the way, I mean, I don't know about you two guys, I love the hot stove league in the off season for baseball. I love the trades, I love the speculation, I love the free agent signings. Now that Juan Soto is off the board, then you're going to see a lot more trades taken. But you got some pitchers. Corbin Burns is a free agent pitcher. The White Sox, believe it or not, the White Sox do have a player named Garrett Crochet, who's a left-handed stud pitcher who they're trying to trade. And there's a little speculation that maybe the Cubs might be involved in that. I don't know, but the White Sox have just been the embarrassment of the league the last couple of years.
The only thing I remember the White Sox are they going to sell the team and move to Nashville?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that'll happen, but so now things will move.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to start seeing free agents signing contracts and things like that, which I love.
Isn't it nice for baseball that they actually stagger stuff? It's like, okay, this happens now, this happens now, this happens now. Whereas college football, you've basically got the equivalent of the NFL having free agency, the draft, and the playoffs all within the span of a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, because baseball stays in the news almost 12 months. The guys that the guys that won't sign now will sign a month before spring training starts.
Right.
And so spring training, it's a 7-8 month deal anyway. Right. So baseball's always in the news.
Right. Well, and we want to talk about signings and stuff here locally. Ball State football has a new coach.
Yes.
They have Butler coaches going there. Purdue has a new coach.
Okay, stop for a second. I didn't hear this. The Ball State coach is who?
Guy from Butler.
The Butler coach. They signed him last week. His name starts with a U.
A U.
Mike Uremovich.
There you go.
Oh, I thought it was you, Darvish.
I couldn't pronounce it even if you told me.
Nice Serbian name.
That was last week. And
so did he have great numbers? I mean, you're a Butler guy. Was he good?
He had
23-11 at Butler.
Yeah, 3 good seasons at Butler.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 good seasons at Butler. I think this year they only lost 2 or 3.
Yeah, but Butler Butler was not Division I.
No, they're 1 AAA or something like that. They're in the Pioneer League.
They're with Valparaiso in there.
Yes, yeah. Valparaiso, Drake, Morehead State, some of those.
Well, that's surprising to me that Ball State would hire somebody that has not really been in the big time recruiting game.
Well, now he has been at some of the bigger schools as an assistant.
Okay,
and now this is his second head coaching job. He had a job.
Indiana hired Kurt Signetti.
Yeah, but he's coming from a D1 program at James Madison.
Yeah,
He's
definitely a
involved
lower
in all
tier.
of the.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
involved in all of the recruiting and all that kind of
Now,
stuff.
just yesterday, was it yesterday that Purdue announced that they're hiring the UNLV coach?
Correct.
Who played in the championship game just 2 nights ago?
Yeah,
They introduced him this morning.
Is that right? Okay.
yeah. He's a defensive guy too, just like
Odom.
Walters. Yeah, just like Walters was a defensive guy.
Now, didn't he play at Nebraska or something? I can't remember where he played, but he's known for his defense out there at UNLV and has had 2 or 3 very good seasons here.
Yeah,
He played at Missouri.
Missouri, okay.
So when you're talking about, I mean, let's head back for a minute. When you're talking about Ball State and the Mid-American Conference in football, it's just a really, really tough deal, because if you have a great player in the Mid-American Conference, those kids aren't making any money.
No.
But now they have the option to go into the portal, to get into the NIL business, and you're not going to keep that great player that you have in the MAC conference very long.
No. And that's funny you say that, because Saturday when I was down in Charlotte, that was one of the things that Antoine was talking. He's got 2 pretty good big men that are playing D3. And several times he said, you want to get paid to play, don't you? You want to get paid? Yeah. Well, here's what you got to do. Because he was challenging them, because he knows if they have good seasons, they won't be there next year.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Somebody in Division I, down in that area, the Southland Conference, whatever it is, Patriot League, whatever, they're going to pick those kids up off the D2, and they're going to get in the portal, and they're going to do the same thing that you're talking about, going from the MAC to the Big Ten or
or any other place,
any other
where you're going to get paid.
One step up,
Like
where you're going to get some money.
Ball State had a guy that was all conference. I think he won like MAC tight end of the year or something, and he's transferring too.
Sure he is.
Well, yeah, 2 years or 3 years ago, Ball State had my nephew Joey Heck, who's now the head football coach at Goshen. They had an all conference running back named Carson Steele,
He went
who
west,
was a
didn't he?
really good player. He goes into the portal just to kind of see what's in there. Chip Kelly at UCLA gives him a $500,000 or whatever. He goes out there, plays for a year, gets into the NFL draft, and now he's on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
And it used to be that statement that you just made. If you want to get paid, that was always in context with professional sports.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to be paid, then you got to do this, and this. Now it's not. Now it's in context with college sports.
College kids too. And some of the states around here, it's also Texas, it's high school football. But here locally.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, here's a couple names, and Kenny mentioned this locally. Hunter Whiteneck, who you've seen play.
Yeah, no, well.
From New Prairie, he's at Illinois. He's entered the portal.
Mm-hmm.
And also we saw in the news today, Nitro Tuggle from Northwood is a wide receiver down at Georgia, and he's entered the portal also. Now, let me ask you this, and you may not know the answer. If they enter the portal like today, will they still play in the ball games next week, the week after?
No.
Fun fact.
Because
you
there's
are
a couple.
both
Aren't there a couple Georgia players?
Hold on. What's the story, Scott? What's happening?
Devin Brown, the backup QB at Ohio State, has announced that he will enter the transfer portal, but he is staying with the team to potentially play in the bowl games. Now, he is the backup, but he's still going to practice with them and everything. But he's going to transfer.
Yeah. So he hasn't entered it yet, and I don't know the dates when the portal opens.
Right.
It's open now.
But he hasn't entered
or
put his name in yet, so he will stay with his team.
Yeah, because
he'll stay with the team. Like, he's not officially in, but like I think that means that other coaches can contact him.
Yeah, because I saw an interview with Signetti, and they were asking him what's this week involved, because he said, well, this is our bye week. This is our bye week. Next week's game week. So my coaches will spend half their day on the transfer portal, and the other half will start prepping for Notre Dame. So the transfer portal is important right now, and that's why these teams are hiring coaches so they don't miss out. These coaches
think about
can
what
jump
I
right
said.
in here.
Think about what I said a few minutes ago, right? That you're basically college football. They had National Signing Day last week for the early signing period. So it's
Right.
basically, like I said, you're having the draft, free agency, and the playoffs all within like 3 weeks of each other. So who in the world would want to be a college football coach right now?
Oh, I
Oh, I know.
totally agree. Well, and we saw that in the paper last week. I had some names written down here. 4 of the Elkhart kids all signed early signing, and 3 of them are leaving at Christmas.
Wow.
Marion Dye's going to Tennessee. Cordell McPhee's going to Cincinnati. Carmine Orozco, who spent 1 year at Elkhart, is going to Miami of Ohio. Cade Tarakowski's going to Trine. The Concord running back, Jaron Thomas, going to Purdue.
Well, so yeah, but with a new coach, is he still going to Purdue, or is he going to open up his recruiting again?
That's a good question.
Good question.
Adrian Holly from Michigan City, big lineman over there, is going to Kansas.
So-
But that was last week. And I know those 3, they're going to take finals here in 2 weeks. And then Christmas break, they're going to pack their bags. They will enroll second semester at their colleges.
So I think this is interesting now, because now you have a 12-team college playoff scenario, and so last year you had 4 teams in, so now you add 8 teams. So will anybody on those 12 teams, will anybody come out and say, yeah, I'm not going to play in the bowl game now because I'm going to get ready for the professional combine, like Sam Hartman did last year when Notre Dame played in a bowl game, not the college playoff bowl, but just a regular bowl game. I'd be curious to know if any players will make that statement now that I'm not going to play in one of the 12 teams, that I'm not going to play because I don't want to get injured. I want to make myself available for the NFL draft.
Exactly. I understand. Now, I don't know if you'll see that here, but how about these other teams? Because they've already announced the other bowls. Michigan has a bowl game
With Alabama.
with Michigan, Alabama. Are those kids going to stay, or are they going to do what you're talking about?
Well, I think I don't think
that's
there's any
where-
question that they will do that,
That's where you're going to see
because
that.
it's not a meaningful bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It's not now. Well, Jalen is Jalen Milroe a senior, the quarterback at Alabama?
I don't think
So
only
he's
a
got
junior.
another year left.
He's got 1 more year.
Okay, so will a quarterback of a good team opt to get into combine training now, or will they go now? I mean, I don't think anybody in the 12 format, any of those players would say, "No, man, I ain't playing in this
Who
bowl."
was it? The Iowa quarterback is already
Cade
entered.
McNamara.
He's entered the transfer
The
portal for
Wisconsin
his
quarterback, too.
Wisconsin quarterback. If they're in a bowl game, will they play, or will they go ahead and put their name out in free agency?
Well, if I'm a coach, if I'm the coach at Iowa or wherever, and that quarterback ain't coming back, I ain't playing him.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm gonna play Steve Angeli,
Mhm.
just like Notre Dame did.
Exactly.
And maybe Sam Hartman said, "Yeah, well, why should I play? Let Steve Angeli play.
Yeah.
We're not. I mean, we're 9-3. We have nothing rolling. So why would I play?" And I don't know. I think that's interesting. I think
that'll be a topic here for the month of December. That's for sure.
yeah, and I think the interesting part of it is take the college playoffs now with the 12 teams, take those 12 out, but the other teams, I've always said that I think that there should be something in those scholarships that says you need to play for your college team in that bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
You're part of our program, and that's part of this scholarship.
Well, and the kids are going to come back going, yeah, but if the coach leaves, I came to play for that coach. What happens if one of these coaches takes off on them? Because I think I saw what the Marshall is now open. Somebody just signed, and they've already hired a new coach. So there's a coach that has left his smaller school to go to Marshall.
Right.
Do those players say, "Hey, the coach left. Why can't we leave?"
Yeah, I mean, college athletics now is more. It used to be simplified a little bit, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost
Now-
semi-pro.
Now it's the wild, wild west still, and semi-pro is a good way to put it. And you just don't know, because why would you go to Notre Dame and play and be a starter for 2 years, and then you're playing, I don't know, somebody in the Peach Bowl or somewhere, and you say I ain't playing, I'm getting ready for the pro game.
Well, and one of the things,
But that never would have happened, right?
No, and one of the things I was going to talk about too, we'll probably have to do this next week. You're going to see a lot of teams reevaluating their schedules. For example, Texas and Notre Dame have just announced they've got a home and home here coming up. Maybe is it next year or whatever? It might be.
A couple years from now.
A couple years down the road.
Ohio State plays Texas to begin here next year.
Yeah. So does Ohio State and Texas say, "Whoa, let's rethink this"? Do we play? Because now one of us is going to start with one loss.
The prop that all is because the athletic director at Alabama got to burr up his butt side because they didn't make the playoffs. But what people got to realize is his non-conference schedule, to be flat out honest, was garbage. Western Kentucky, USF, the only decent game was Wisconsin. And oh, by the way, Mercer's in
Wisconsin was 6-6.
But at the end of the day, none of those wins against weak opponents played a part in them not winning or not getting in the playoffs. It was Vanderbilt
and Oklahoma
that played a part in them not getting in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I mean, okay, you look at their non-conference schedule next year. They go to Florida State, then they got University of Louisiana Monroe. Oh boy, a powerhouse there.
Wisconsin, the Raging Cajuns.
The Raging Cajuns, yes. Wisconsin Badgers, and then Eastern Illinois. Eastern Illinois comes to get their butts handed to them for $500,000.
That was the team that IU beat 77-0.
Yeah, but again, my point is, why would you, when it comes down to your conference, and why would you want to get your brains beat in for 12 games and say, "Oh, we had a hell of a year. We were 9-3, but we had you're not getting into the college football playoffs, so you play Mercer. Just don't lose to freaking Vandy,
right."
And don't lose to, Oklahoma.
They had bad conference losses.
Yes.
And that's killed them.
So I don't think that Mercer game killed them.
No.
The SEC acts like they're entitled to have half the field in the playoffs every year.
It's called them people in Alabama think it's the Alabama Invitational. Well, guess what? The committee had the balls to say, no, it's not.
Well, no. And so, but guess what? You lost 3 freaking games.
3 conference games.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think that you deserve to be in over a team that lost 1 game?
Right.
You lost 3 games. Win your games and stop bitching and moaning, and you're in.
Right. I'm looking at next year's Notre Dame schedule here. They open at Miami. I mean, who would want to open a non-conference? They're non-conference all their games, but at Miami to start. Then they got Texas A&M. They got Boise State. They've got Pitt, Syracuse. I mean, USC, Lord knows what they're going to be like next year. But just those
USC going to be really good with that QB they got.
I mean, you look at that schedule right now. That's a pretty heady schedule.
Well, that's a heady schedule, and you're not bringing in a transfer portal quarterback.
No,
you're going with Angeli. You're going with the people you have, or at least that's what they say.
Right.
So I'll make a prediction right now. And hold me to it. I mean, Notre Dame doesn't make the college football playoffs next year. I think that schedule that they have with a quarterback that's going to be early, a rookie, Miami
on the road.
Yeah, and then Texas A&M. Come on.
I mean, that's if they go 10-2 with this schedule next year, they're in the tournament.
Yeah, well, and it depends what everybody else does.
Right.
Parity in college football now.
Yeah, you're going to see it. It's going to keep getting more. And the other thing I'm thinking, even Notre Dame. I mean, their schedules are out clear to what 2030 or something.
Yeah, because they've got Bama in 28 or 29. I'm sorry,
but I'm thinking people are going to be rethinking: do we play Notre Dame?
Okay, how about this for 29? Alabama at Texas at Florida State. Hello.
Yeah, no, and if you win 2 out of 3, you're still behind the 8 ball because you got a loss early.
Right.
And you win 2 out of 3, and you're playing really good football. How about not messing with the schedule? If you're Alabama, winning your conference games and going 11-1 instead of
That's the bottom line. You just got to win your
score
conference.
more than 3 points at Oklahoma.
Yeah, just win. Speaking of winning, the Indiana Hoosiers finally are are winning, I guess, over Minnesota 73-57. There's been a lot of speculation. There's a site called Hoosier Hysterics, where there's been a lot of talk,
overreactions,
a lot of reactions on the coaching staff at IU and what's going on there. And I mean, I think some of it's real. I mean, Dan Dockich gets a little eccentric every now and then, but or a lot probably. But he was on Woody pretty hard the other day. And the story here's a story that I got. This is a story that I got from a real reliable source. When the IU job opened, Scott Dolson went to a couple of his boys, the AD, and he said, "I need money. You're going to give me money to get a coach." And the first guy he went to was Brad Stevens. And he said, we want you. We want to hire you, blah, blah, blah. Are you interested? Brad Stevens went along, for a while with the interview deal, and then finally took his name out and said, no, I'm not interested. So they're looking at plan B, and Scott Dolson is looking at it. And all of a sudden, Quinn Buckner comes to Scott Dolson and says, we're done. We got a coach. Scott Dolson says, what are you talking about? He says, Mike Woodson wants to come and we can hire Mike Woodson. So whatever goes down with Mike Woodson and, myself, I don't think Woody's he's going to last. It's not on the Indiana AD because the Indiana AD,
I've heard the same story that Quinn Buckner was the one that made the call.
Yeah, and I don't think I think, and I got nothing against Mike Woodson, although Mike Woodson's been a pro coach his whole career, and I don't think you coach college guys like you do pro guys.
Right. Also, the only reason he's relevant in the NBA is because he had a dude on his team named LeBron James.
Yeah, well, I had a dude on my team. So you're telling me the only reason you're in the Hall of Fame because you had a dude named LeBron James on your team?
No, you had Norman Anderson.
Games. Yeah, in the McDonald's All-American games.
Here,
so,
let me ask you guys a question real fast.
Ask me.
We'll play closest to the actual number. Can you tell me how many college athletes are in the college football transfer portal right now?
Right now?
And we'll play whoever's closest gets a free glass of pink lemonade.
And it's been open for a day, right? It's been open for one day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I'm going to say 250.
Okay.
Kenny?
I'm going to say about 150.
I'm going to say 500.
Well, heck, you were... Go ahead. Sorry.
I just say, is this like, let's make a deal? Whoever's the closest without going over.
It's like Price is Right.
Yeah, Price is
Well,
Right.
none of you even came close to going over. The current number is 1,202.
Yeah, no, it's a viable option now.
Right.
I don't like this coach. We don't throw enough. We don't run
guys
the ball
can go
enough.
back.
Boom.
Yeah, and Tom Brady made a very good point the other day when he said, we're teaching these kids the wrong thing. We're teaching them, if you don't like it,
go
jump and go someplace else instead of sticking with it and making yourself better and making it work. He said, we're just teaching these, bad habits.
Now I can see, so I can see this side of it. I go to Butler as a basketball player. I'm in 2 years, I haven't got a sniff. It's obvious. The other guys are better. I'm in over my head. I want to transfer out and get some playing time somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've been there 2 or 3 years.
Right.
You're not good enough, so you want to play down and you want to play.
Right.
So that scenario,
and that's happened.
I can see
guys jump and go back down to NA.
No, I can see. I can see this one. And I don't know why it didn't happen. I mean, I'm going to throw a name at you. Kyle Mangus was a really good player at Plymouth High School.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and played at Indiana Wesleyan University.
Warsaw. Go ahead.
Yeah. Warsaw High School. And he went and played at Indiana Wesleyan University. And he was the most valuable player in the Crossroads League for like 4 straight years.
And he was the national player of the year.
National player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes there and he's in his 3rd year and he says, man, I want to play against better competition. I want to try the MAC or something.
Mm-hmm.
I got no problem with that.
Right.
The problem that I think Tom Brady's talking about is you're someplace for a year and you don't like the coach, or they're not running your offense, or
The coach leaves.
or you want to play right away, and you don't have that toughness or that what we call as coaches, and it's a weird word, but it's called stick-to-itiveness.
Pay your dues.
You don't want to pay your dues. That's the one I got problems
That's
with.
what he's talking about. Yep. Freshmen that, weren't willing to sit and wait your turn.
Right.
Well, and so most of those freshmen are red shirts anyway, or they used to be. I'm not sure they are now because they're getting paid and they can move. But you redshirt a year, you come in, now this is your year to play. You got juniors, you got seniors, but yet you think you're the top dog, and now you ain't. Boom, I'm gone.
Right.
Gone day. Here to Muncie, gone tomorrow.
Right. Scott,
Do you guys
want to
want
finish up?
Well, I was going to say, do you guys want to hit on the actual previewing one side of the ball for the game coming up? Because next week it's going to be trying to jam a lot of stuff into one. If you're
we're going to try and get Darren Pritchett on next week and have Darren talk.
What's up,
from the Notre Dame standpoint?
Real quick, I just want to mention, guys, on the Monday Night Football game, there's a little bit of a local connection here in the Michiana area. One of the assistant coaches, linebacker coach James Betcher, is on the Bengals staff from Lakeville, graduate of LaVille High School.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Just thought I'd throw out a local plug there for James.
We love our local plugs. The only thing I was going to mention is a couple stats that I had written down about Notre Dame's defense and who they've played all year, but I don't know. It can wait if we need to.
Yeah, no, I mean, fire them at us. No.
Okay.
Listen to me. It's 8:20. It's 8:20.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Becky's made for us upstairs for our meal, but
Maybe another refill of that pink lemonade.
Yeah, keep that for next week, and next week we'll just do a total preview of that game from both sides of the ball. We'll get Darren on, and next week will just be a college football week.
And next week will be our last podcast
of the year,
2024.
Yeah,
we're going to take a little 2-week break, and then we'll be back. In
that 2-week break, I'm going into the portal. I'm going into the portal to see if I can get a gig, another higher paying gig.
Yeah, I may get put on waivers.
Broadcast portal. All right, hey Scott, man, a great show. Linhauser was good, didn't you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was really good. Yeah, and so guys, you guys are the best. Have a great rest of your week this week.
Yep, you got a lot of basketball to do.
Yeah, I've got a game every night.
Yep.
I got a game every night, and so we're going to be back here next Monday at your place.
Probably right here, same time, same place.
Yep.
So
maybe I'll bring the pizza next week.
Okay. Well,
I'll bring a pizza next week. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right, man.
All right.
Well, that'll do it for us for this week. Thanks for tuning in.
I got one more question.
Oh, all right.
How was it not drinking 4 beers during the show? Did you feel a little bit? Are you shaking a little bit?
Yeah. I have to go figure. I got to take care of things here afterward.
You might have to steal your liver or something. Go put it in the bathtub full of ice.
Yeah.
All right, man. Just checking because I
killing me.
No, man. I'm killing you, Smalls.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, man. Thanks, Scotty. You're the best. See you guys.
All right. We'll be back next week. Same time, same place, actually. And appreciate everybody tuning in. So, peace out.
So now, my neck is really sore.
I was going to say you'll be sore here for a while.
And welcome to Coach's Corner After Hours. With
your
me.
after hours. Yeah.
All right. Glad I was able to help.
Hey, we were sitting here talking because when you did commercials, we could not hear the commercials.
Did you have your volume turned up?
What? Yeah, everything's up. The only thing I have down is 5, which is the external speaker that we don't have plugged in. Everything else is up. And we were sitting here. We were sitting here talking, thinking that you were like in the bathroom or something. So we were talking about Soto, and then the next thing you know, we started hearing music and stuff. And you're saying we're back. So we all just shut up real quick and just kind of figured, okay, we'll just do this again, like we didn't do it.
I even recorded new ads.
Did you? We
Yeah.
didn't hear any, and like to
And I
start the
redid
show.
the intro video.
Okay, we didn't hear any of that because that, like you said, you're on, and we didn't know it.
Yeah.
So, what's our temperature for game day?
The early projections 42.
All right, yeah.
Oh boy.
Has there ever been a football game played in December at Notre Dame Stadium?
I don't think so. Has there ever been a December football game?
Never.
No.
Never.
This is the
Like,
first.
not
So I
even,
think
Well,
like,
well,
not
now,
even
now. Wait,
the
there may have been
back in the day. who
back in the
knows?
day, but this is the latest game they've ever had. They
Yep.
used to play USC
It might have been a December 1st game with
Yeah.
USC or Stanford.
back before
so then the answer is
1961.
yes.
Yeah, they played a
They
December
have
game there.
played a December game at Notre Dame Stadium.
Oh,
They-
that's a little one.
They haven't played. They haven't played a. This is the first time since Thanksgiving of '73 that they're playing a home game. It's not on a Saturday
That's funny. So
because they.
they've had a hockey games. They did those outdoor hockey things a couple of years ago because when I was
Yeah.
working at Corson, I had to help do fire extinguishers out there for hockey, and that was the same years they were doing like the concerts too.
So here, let me tell you my stats that I had written down,
All
because
right.
I was gonna hit something about the Notre Dame defense because I know they're really good, but I looked up the total defensive stats for their opponents and I wrote
Uh-huh.
it down really fast.
All right. Well, hang on
Um,
to that for next week.
Well, here I'll just tell you now,
Okay.
and I'll repeat it because fun fact, we're still on.
Yeah. Okay.
A&M was 52. This is out of 133 power teams. A&M was 52. Northern Illinois was 69th. Purdue was 127. Miami was 102. Louisville was 11th. Stanford was 119. Georgia Tech was 33rd. Navy was 80. Florida State was 132. Virginia was 93. Army was 56. USC was 23rd. And against the good offenses, Louisville, Georgia Tech, and USC, they gave up 24, 13, and 35 points. So IU is ranked 24th in
24th.
total offense.
Right. Okay.
So
Well,
I
supposedly
really,
their defense
I don't
is
know,
supposedly
and-
really good.
Yeah, but I know Notre Dame's secondary is pretty good, but they have faced absolutely nobody that had any kind of good receivers. Indiana is definitely going to be the best skill position
Best
team that
running
they
team.
play
Yeah,
by
The-
a
leave that
lot.
out.
The question's going to be:
Looking
can Indiana handle Notre Dame's front seven
See if
with
Thursday's
everybody
Right.
being back? That's going to be the challenge. I think that they're going to have are they going to give him enough time to throw?
How many
And I think that
Thursdays
was
can
what we
do
were
at
trying to
Dorgan's?
find out for Indiana versus Ohio State.
Okay.
It was very obvious that Indiana was a team made up of
How about February and March?
JMU transfers and MAC guys
Right.
against those guys. So
And this
it'll
and
be
this
inter-
deep,
I don't see a reason why IU
I'm-
can't
I would
win.
bet this-
because
I
they
bet
can
we'll have to
score.
go Thursdays
They can
until
score,
spring
but-
break, maybe.
as my buddy Dwayne always says to me, he goes, strange things always seem to happen when visiting teams come to South Bend. A missed field goal, a blocked punt,
So, I mean, we're-
a fumble that you don't
look-
see happening at any point during the
that's what we're
year.
looking at, yeah.
Crazy
Don't
stuff.
tell
And
him that.
Northern Illinois
Do you
winning.
want to wait?
Northern Illinois winning, yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of,
No.
it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the environment. As much as it was a challenge at Ohio State,
Here,
this is going to be just as big of a challenge, I think.
that's first.
I
week
don't
of
know.
school.
Half the stadiums or 3/4 of the stadium is going to be loyal to them, right?
No.
It's the
School
it's the
starts
reversible
on
jacket
the
game.
6th. So
But I mean, this
we can
for
go on
for
the
Indiana,
2nd.
this is
I'll
their
check
Super
with
Bowl.
Steve and see if he's
Any-
gonna
This is their
go
anybody-
second.
Anybody still watching? Put in the chat. What do you think? Because yeah, I mean it probably is Indiana's Super Bowl because it's the
Yeah.
Civil War of Indiana. Because I'm sure IU's sick of playing Purdue every year, even though Purdue's won 3 of the last 4 bucket games. Never forget.
So we'll think. I'll tell Steve.
Well,
about
and
that.
plus-
leads the
Thursdays in
overall
January.
series by like 20.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thing too is like for Indiana, they haven't won in South Bend since 1898. I mean,
Last time they won in South Bend, the Dead Sea was only sick.
yeah, I mean they went the whole 20th century without winning here. I mean,
Yeah.
it's.
I mean, you want to talk about a program defining win for IU though.
Oh my
with
God, yeah.
Trying to build a program for Sig because he can go into Notre Dame and win and say, and all those guys that Notre Dame was recruiting, take them to Indiana and be like, hey, we beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. Why not come here?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. That's a great point. It's going to be interesting to see, and this is not disrespecting any of the schools that they play on their schedule. Like I said, coming to South Bend, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle everything. how they handle the environment. How are they going to handle the crowd that's going to be 85%, Notre Dame?
See, and I think the familiarity of it maybe as an extra layer of it, because they went into the horseshoe and kind of peed down their leg.
Oh, they did. Oh my gosh, yes.
But it was an environment where they knew nobody there and had like no family in the stands. But I mean, I would imagine anybody on IU's roster that's from Northern Indiana, their family's going to be there. So how do you deal with a road game where half the crowd, where it's like, is it really a road game? I don't know, because you go into Columbus, it's like, yeah, everybody here hates us, whatever. You go into South Bend, it's like, well, I know half the people that go to Notre Dame, maybe they're cheering for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I want to find out about let me pull up their roster here real quick.
I don't know. Q, are you still on here?
Afternoon.
Q comment.
I got matter of fact, I'm double dipping. I'm doing.
Because like I said, I think Notre Dame, with the injuries that they've had, is it an equalizer against IU? I don't know. Because like I said, I used 24th in total offense, and they pass the ball really well.
Well, I know that some of these guys are going to be back. Some of the defensive guys are going to be back for the playoff, so that's going to help. Let's see. There's one guy from Center Grove, Lawrence North, JoJo Johnson from Merrillville, Dallas. A lot of Southern guys. Chicago, CJ West from Nazareth Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a guy who went to Indian Creek, but now calls New Jersey home. Another Lawrence North guy. Another guy from Center Grove. Guy from Carmel. That would be Andrew Turvey. Let me see who else here. A lot of out-of-state guys, it looks like here.
Yeah, a lot of them are from Virginia that came with Signetti from JMU.
Westerstrom from Westfield. Bellin from Carmel. Two kids from Fishers. Another from Fort Wayne. Another from New Pal. A kid from Cathedral, lives in Carmel. Boonville. North Central. Center Grove. Fishers. A lot of Indianapolis. I don't see anybody really from South.
Nobody from Northern India.
Indianapolis, Ben Davis for Murph.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. I'm gonna end the stream.
Okay.
So because we're down to only one eyeball.
Oh, so okay.
Peace out, everybody. We'll see you next week.